Greetings, Rebel fans. My name is Jason Kelly, and this is the Let's Run podcast. I want to welcome you all to the show today, where we have, out of nowhere, during an incredibly compelling NFL draft, the nation's eyes were on Shedeur Sanders. The nation's eyes were on Ashton Jeanty joining the Las Vegas Raiders. Everybody's talking about this. And then out of nowhere, we get two of the best pieces of news that UNLV basketball has had in forever. It has been a remarkable 24 hours for the Runnin' Rebels and for Coach Josh Pastner. This is his masterpiece. This is a fantastic day, a day to celebrate and to be excited about Runnin' Rebel hoops. This is a day where we saw a coach that had done a very good job putting together a roster, adding guys like Howie Fleming, adding guys like Dre Gibbs Lawhorn, adding guys like Emmanuel Steffens, getting guys like Tyron Jones and Mason Abiton or Abiton, and James Evans and Isaac Williamson. You know, Josh Pastner had been doing a very good job. But today, he took this to another level. And I could not be happier with the two additions that we have today. I am going to tweet out this because I want to make sure that people do not miss it. I want to bring on as many Rebel fans as we can to this awesome live stream where we are celebrating, guys. I mean, this is fantastic. So let me tweet this out real quick. And let's start breaking down these guys that we got. Let's go over the timeline. Let's break down the players and look at some film together live. And let's talk about them. So I, for a while, have thought that what this Runnin' Rebel team needed. Oh, damn. Didn't know we live. Yeah, we're live, guys. And go ahead and retweet this, share this. Let's try and get as many Rebel fans as we can on this live stream. I'm officially a season ticket holder for basketball. You know, I am too. I graduated from UNL. I'm graduating from UNLV here in a couple of weeks, and so I'm no longer getting student tickets. But this Runnin' Rebel team has athleticism, has experience, has depth, has real players, and has easily the best roster that we have had since Dave Rice was our Runnin' Rebel head coach. It has experience amongst all the positions. We're too deep at every position except for center at the moment, where we're kind of 1.5 deep. But we'll talk about that later. So for a while, ever since we added Nas Cunningham yesterday, Nas Cunningham, we had our live show, which I think was just yesterday. I mean, it's only been 24 hours. Cunningham's an elite wing, kind of guard type player that we added with great shot making. But I still felt, and if you will go back to yesterday's show and listen, I still felt that the roster was missing its biggest piece. It was very good. It had a lot going for it, but it was missing the parts. It was missing the big shot. Everybody's got one giant shot, a big punch that they throw. And I felt that the Runnin' Rebels didn't have that player on their team yet. The guy that I was expecting to be that player was Jaden Brewer. There had been rumors that Jaden had come to UNLV on an official visit and had done incredibly well. But the staff liked him. But clearly Coach Pastner was holding on for something. And I was of the opinion, even despite adding guys like Nas Cunningham, adding guys like Dre, sorry, I have to get used to saying his name correctly, adding guys like Laji Dembele, I was under the impression that Josh Pastner, Coach Pastner, had his trump card to play. And boy, did he. So, first things first, today, we get the news a few hours ago that Kamani Hamilton is joining the Runnin' Rebels. Now, if you don't know who Kamani Hamilton is, that's okay. He didn't play for a Power 4 school last year, but he is and let's start sharing my screen here. Kamani Hamilton is a senior. This will be his final year of eligibility. He's a 6'8" wing. 6'8", Over the last 2 years, he has started every single game for High Point. High Point is kind of an up-and-coming school. They're investing a lot into basketball. High Point has a very good coach in Alan Huss. And he started out his career at Mississippi State, where he had an okay freshman season. Didn't get a ton of playing time, but was kind of seen as a stretch four, stretch kind of three wing player. Ends up transferring to High Point and leading High Point to the NCAA tournament last season. This High Point team was really solid. They easily won their conference. They won their conference tournaments. They end up going to the NCAA tournaments. They finished the season. High Point finished the season. I want to make sure. High Point, and he was High Point's, in my opinion's best player. Finishes the season 29-6, which was an incredible record. And Kamani Hamilton had everything to do with that. Do I think Kamani will start? Yes, and here's the other reason why. Huss went back to Creighton as an assistant, and so Kamani ended up going to Creighton as an assistant, who was the head coach at High Point, where he's the head coach in waiting at Creighton under Greg McDermott. So the big question is, and I guess before we get into the highlights, I think Kamani will play the 3 and the 4, and I think he'll probably start at the 3. When I first saw, the news that Kamani was committing to UNLV, I thought of him more as a 4, as a power forward with a little bit of stretch capabilities. But the more that I have watched him play, and we're going to go over some tape here for Kamani, and then we'll go over Miles Shea a bit later in the show. But the more that I have watched Kamani, the more I have seen him as a small forward. He's a small forward with serious size, and the guy that he reminds me of is a bigger, stronger Keelan Boone. You can see right here, he's actually very good at driving the ball to the hoop, and he finishes at the rim very efficiently. He's a guy that you can give the ball to, kind of like Shakur Houston, who will take it off the dribble and attack. He finishes at the rim strong. He finishes through contact. He's got a very good frame. He can also do the pick and pop 3-pointer as well. But he's not just a pick and pop type player. He can also handle the ball in transition. I mean, he's kind of an Inspector Gadget, go-go. I mean, look at him. He dunks over this guy. He's an Inspector Gadget, go-go gadget type player. And he's incredible and versatile in a lot of different ways. He doesn't, take shots that he can't make. He's also an incredibly efficient player. 50% of his shots come at the rim, and he finishes at the rim. Look at that. Okay, guys, I want you to watch this again. So we get a high ball screen. High Points is playing the Presbyterian, which is, a nobody school. But they decide to kind of trap the ball handler a little bit. Kamani Hamilton takes the ball here. He has the defender in the paint, and he almost baptizes the kid. Ends up getting a foul. I apologize. I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say it like that. But ends up getting the foul, but just throws the ball in over the top of the defender. And look at that. It's incredible. It's like Blake Griffin. He's very good at attacking, from the top of the key, from the 3-point line, finishing through contact, finishing efficiently. I mean, that's something this team struggled with so much last year, finishing through contact at the rim. Our team was such a jump shooting reliant team. Something else I really like about him is, he finishes very well through contact, so he gets a lot of and ones. He doesn't settle. A bad player right there, watch this possession. He's wide open at the 3-point line. And a bad player might just kind of see, oh, I'm wide open. Let's take this shot. Kamani's not like that. He's efficient. He's smart. He sees that shot, that 3-point shot, the wide open, and he's an okay 3-point shooter. He's not great, but he's okay. And he says, no, I'm going to take it to the rim. These guys can't stop me. They're not bigger, stronger. And then I love it. Watch, he hits him with the too small celebration right here because they are too small, because that's really the big thing about him. I mean, nobody's big enough to guard this guy. And I think even in the Mountain West, you'll see some of his shooting capabilities there. He's a very good catch and shoot 3-pointer. I wouldn't say he's very good, but he's a good catch and shoot 3-point shooter. My favorite thing about him, though, is he's not a limited volume 3-point shooter. He's actually willing to take quite a few. one of his strengths, as is highlighted in this, he's actually a very good passer too. This is something that a lot of people think that this team really needed a point guard. Now we didn't end up getting a point guard in Miles Che, who we'll get to very shortly. But something that I love about Kamani is he can get the ball at the top of the rim. He gets a screen here, and there's High Point center. He notices that they're playing a drop coverage, which means that there's going to be a backside alley oop open for the roll man on the backside. Not the roll man, but for the low man on the backside. And Kamani has the touch and the vision to throw this pass. And watching his tape, you see this pretty consistently. He's a very good passer. He's got a 17% assist rate, which for a small forward who plays big is excellent. He's good at the high-low option. He's good at passing between big men. You can see Kamani and Stephen Jones as our starting front court at some point, as our front court, where Kamani is just going to be able to get, using his height and sight, is going to be able to get easy passes to Stephens and whoever's playing the 5-man. It could be Dembele. Another good strength for him, something I really love, is he's got a really good offensive rebounding rate. He doesn't shy away from physicality in the paint. He chases after the ball. He's relentless on the boards. He gets those balls, and he puts them back in for efficient scoring. I love watch him. So he's in the corner here. They do a little switch. Kamani sees that his team is taking it into the rim, but he also sees that his player is a little awkward driving in, crashes the board over a smaller player, and ends up getting an easy putback. This is the kind of stuff. He's just a consummate professional. Ooh, this is something else that I really like about him too. He takes off the dribble threes. He doesn't have a super high release. He kind of relies on his height to shoot over the top of players. Ooh, let me make sure real quick that you guys are seeing this. I want to make sure that you guys are seeing that. Let me get back to this. All right. I see your guys' comments. I just want to get through the tape here before I start going into comments specifically. So I see your guys' comments, and I will start answering them in just a sec. But he takes off the dribble 3-pointers, which for a guy that's 6'8" who can play the 4 or even the 5 is just incredible. Being able to shoot off the dribble is such a boon for a college offense. And it's something that he definitely will do. His off the dribble shot making is probably the best part of his offensive game, which just for a guy of his size, he has the ability to drive it past you, but he can also off the dribble just pick up and shoot. He does a lot of spot up shooting. His shot doesn't look great. It's a little slow in the release, but when he's that big, when his size is that big, I think it's okay. And I think it's going to work in the Mountain West. Again, this kind of reminds me of Shakur Houston, a guy who at the top of the key can just attack, get the ball and then attack off the dribble. Let's fast forward a little bit. This is something else that the Rebel fans are going to love. You look at Nasir Cunningham. You look at Dre, Gibbs Lawhorn. You look at Laji Dembele. There's a lot of great transition, and even Emmanuel Stephens, a lot of great transition athletes on this team. And Kamani's going to fit great alongside them. Kamani is fast. He's athletic. He can dunk everything. He moves well. And he's going to be a really good tool for the running Rebels. And he's also great at catching lobs, as you see there. And I apologize if you're one of my Spotify listeners or Apple Podcasts or Substack listeners. I am putting up the tape right now, but you can always come and see the tape live on my Twitter. He's excellent in transition. He finishes through contact. He finishes above the rim. And I just think that, guys, this Miles Che is great, and I'm incredibly excited about him. But getting a player like this was not cheap. Kamani was a guy that a lot of programs were after. Let me just list you some of the names of these programs that were after Kamani Young. Kamani, let's see. Kamani was being pursued by, where are we at? He was being pursued by Nebraska. He was being pursued by Villanova. He was being pursued by a whole bunch of schools. Seton Hall. Power 4 schools were really pursuing this kid. And for him to choose UNLV tells you a couple of things. One, like I said, UNLV had an NIL card to play. They had not spent all of their NIL money up to this point. And so what this means is UNLV outbid people for Kamani Hamilton. And they really showed, and Josh Pastner proved today that he is the type of guy. Let me just go back here. He's the type of guy that can legitimately get players that other big time schools are after. Emmanuel Stephens was the guy that had offers from Syracuse. Dre Gibbs was a guy that had Power 4 offers. And these guys are good players. And Power 4 schools, UNLV is outbidding Power 4 schools to get them. And that should just tell you everything you need to know about the mentality that Josh Pastner has had. I want to make sure I get through you guys' comments here. Keep bleeding in your guys' comments. Steve Hawes asks, is there a risk that we have over-recruited? I think we have 7 to 8 guys that want to be starters, and I don't think he's done. So I think in terms of guards, he's done. In terms of the wing position, he's done. The only position that I think Pastner will add to, and this is just a guess, the only position I think Pastner will actually add more players to in terms of a position group is the big man position. Emmanuel Stephens and Jacob Benarbi is probably not enough of a front court rotation. Although I do expect from listening to Josh talk that he will probably have some small ball lineups. You could see Kamani Hamilton run the 5 as a small ball 5. You could see Ladji Dembele play the 5. Maybe not for sustained periods of time, but yes, we've over-recruited probably a little bit. But you guys have to understand there's always going to be injuries. What you want is 10 guys that you really believe in that can be solid contributors. And that's about the number that we have. I'd have to count them all up. We have Green, Gibbs, Fleming, Evans, Tyron Jones, Mason Abaton. There's going to be guys that are kind of left out. But you have to understand that there's going to be injuries. Not all these guys are going to be healthy. And people are going to have to step up into their place. And so, yeah, Ricky says it Ricky's right. All these guys are going to have to come home and earn it. And they are going to have to earn it. And they will. I trust Coach Pastner to make the right decision. And yes, you're right. Mike Moser, yeah, he is a Mike Moser type. Kamani Hamilton, if you guys remember back to the Dave Rice days, he is just like Mike Moser. I don't know if he's as good of a rebounder as Mike Moser, but Mike Moser was one of the best college rebounders that I have ever seen. And yes, we have way more NIL. This roster is miles ahead of last year's roster, the final year of Kevin Kruger's roster. In fact, it's better than any of Kevin Kruger's rosters. The only one that comes close is Kevin's third year where we had Keelan Boone. Nick says, give me your starting 5. So right now, it's kind of tough because I would say my starting 5 would be I thought of Dre as a starter this whole time, starting at the 2 guard, but now I'm kind of thinking he'll be the first man off the bench. I don't know. Coach Pastner probably doesn't know what his starting 5 is yet, but if I had to guess, I would say Miles Che, who we'll go over in just a second. Miles Che would be the starting point guard. You would probably have Howie Fleming no, probably not Howie Fleming either. It would probably be Nasir Cunningham at the 2. So 6'3" at the point guard, 6'7" at the 2 guard. Then I would have Kamani Hamilton at the 3. He's a big for a 3. It would be interesting defensively to try and figure that out, but I think he can play defense against small forwards. So I would have Kamani Hamilton at the 3. And then I would have Ladji Dembele at the 4, a stretch 4. And then I would have Emmanuel Stephens at the 5. That would be my starting 5 as of right now. Now, Coach Pastner could add another big man. There are other big men that we have targeted, but as of right now, that's how I see it. Then off the bench, the backcourt rotation would be Dre, Howie Fleming, and oh my gosh, am I forgetting his name? Who's the 3-point shooter, guys? What's his name? There's so many new players that we've got now. The 3-point shooter that we got. What's his name? Al Jefferson, Al something. Oh my gosh, I can't remember his name. Somebody please put his name in the chat because I'm embarrassed that I can't remember his name right now. Al Jefferson or something. He's a 3-point shooter from a school in the Sun Belt or something. I can't remember his name. Green, there you go, Al Green. Thank you, Mom. That's my mom. Everybody's telling me Al Green. I knew his name was Al. Appreciate that, guys. Sometimes when you're on shows, somebody thinks Che, Draw, Nas, Hamilton, and Stefan. Yeah, that could be it too. If you wanted, I just think Dembele is probably a starter. Um, yeah, and you're right, Steve. Freshmen in college basketball don't play a lot. That's just kind of the way it is. I think Tyron Jones will play because he'll be in the front court. He's a big player. He's still growing. He's an athletic dunker. But guys like Mason Abbitten and even James Evans, you just don't know if those guys are going to get a ton of playing time. I hope that they do. Again, there are injuries and people will have to step up. But you have to understand that freshmen fill out the back of rosters and often don't play unless they really prove it in practice. Um, that's what I think. And yeah, Ricky says, I think Josh, I love that Josh has a vision of what he wants to do with these guys. I never really knew what Kevin Kruger wanted to do, especially on offense. I don't think he knew either. I'm excited to see Josh reinvent himself. Yeah, Josh has given every indication that he wants to run a fast-paced, modern space and pace type system. So I think we will have probably a pretty deep rotation early on in the year. Some guys are going to be buried in the bench, and that happens. But the guys are going to have to earn their roles. And year over year, you're turning over your roster so much, anyways, in modern college basketball. And so I'm not worried about the rotation. I trust Coach Pastner to figure it out. We need to talk about Miles Che. So Miles Che was a guy who had offers from schools like Tennessee, Maryland, West Virginia. He was big schools all over the country were in on Miles Che. And why? Let's pull up the stats for Miles Che so you guys can get a better feel for him as a player. Not going to be as this is kind of an emergency podcast. It's not going to be a super long show tonight. I'm going to try and keep it quick. But Miles Che was the starting point guard for UC Irvine last year. Now, UC Irvine incredibly won 32 games last season and made it to the final of the NIT. They ended up losing a tough game to UC San Diego. That's where Eric Olin was coaching, and they went to the tournament. But, UC Irvine was an awesome team all season. They won a ton of games. Probably the loss I feel bad about is that loss to Oregon State that they had. But, UC Irvine was a solid team. Russell Turner's their coach. And I think that Miles Che was often their best player last season. They were a pretty deep team, and Miles Che is kind of a point guard. But Miles Che comes in with 2 years of eligibility. He played 69% of his team's minutes last season. I would expect him to, I think he could start, but also maybe he's the first guy off the bench and Dre is the one starting. I'm not 100% sure, but I trust Coach Pastner to figure it out. Miles Che averaged about 14 points a game last season. But the most impressive thing about Miles Che, he was an 85%, 84%, but I'm rounding up, 85% free throw shooter. He had a really good assist rate, 18.9% assist rate. And he's an outstanding shooter. Didn't shoot great from two, wasn't always great at finishing inside the arc, but was elite at finishing behind the three-point line. He made 53 three-pointers last year, which, if you're used to NBA numbers, may not sound like a lot, but in college, 53 three-pointers made on a year is insane for a 43% clip at UC Irvine. He's a guy that a lot of programs had big interest in. A good passer with good court vision who plays hard. A lot of times his team kind of relied on him to finish inside the paint, and he wasn't always super efficient at the rim. But his shooting was such a good asset for this UC Irvine team. He was good in transition, incredibly efficient, and a scoring guard more than anything else. Miles Che was, he shot 57% at the rim, which is actually pretty solid. I think what that means is that UC Irvine was relying on him to take a lot of mid-range jumpers, but he's kind of just a baller. He's a baller that can shoot the lights out. And there's a reason that all of these big programs were coming after him. He was, the spearhead often of a very good, not just a very good, but an incredible UC Irvine offense. Good off the dribble, good off the catch, good court vision, a true point guard. that has legit handles and skills at basically every part of the court. Um, there's Devin Tillis, if you remember him. He's really good off the catch, shoots incredibly well off the catch. He catches it on the wing like this. You can expect him to put it up. His shot looks perfect, perfect form. And I expect him to be he could come off the bench. He'll start probably, but he could come off the bench. He could start, but I expect him to play a lot. Look how crafty he is. I mean, just a cerebral player that that knows where to score, where he can get his shots, and where he can put the opposing defense in the worst position possible. Um, let's pull up his 3-point rate. So this is one of his strengths. Let's look at some of his passing. Um, because this team does kind of need a point guard, and he definitely will do this. He excels in the pick and roll, good at finding the roll man in space, smart, does turn it over a fair amount. That's probably the biggest weakness in his game. But this UC Irvine team didn't have a ton of other options at the point. And so a lot of that was just over, he's really trying to finish through all these passes. Some of these are incredibly difficult passes. This one I remember was one of my favorites. Above the arc three, catch and shoot. You can just see this guy lighting up teams in the Mountain West. The guy that I would say that he kind of reminds me of, and maybe some Rebel fans won't be super happy about this, but he kind of reminds me of Caton Reinhardt, just like a fearless guard, probably a bit better teammate than Caton Reinhardt was, at least in Caton Reinhardt's freshman year, but just a gutsy player. I mean, I think single-handedly, the Rebels are going to be in some tough spots next season, and Miles Che is going to come up clutch for them. Not a great off the dribble shooter, but I don't really expect us to use him in that capacity. He's not like DJ, where DJ was very good, driving it into the paint and getting that kind of 10-foot mid-range jumper. I wouldn't expect Miles to be an incredible off the dribble shooter, but that's why we have guys like Dre. That's why we have guys like Nasir Cunningham. I think that Miles Che will genuinely be kind of the missing piece in the offense to round out an efficient offense for the Running Rebels. I couldn't be happier with the addition of Miles Che. And if you're doubting, if you're saying UC Irvine, what is Chesanity? Chase Sanity. There you go. Okay. Brandon Wong says Chase amazing pickup for UNLV Asian American for the UNLV Asian American community like myself. Yeah, I mean everybody likes to see themselves on the Running Rebels. My representation last year was Jace Whiting. Injuries robbed me of seeing Jace dominate on the court like I thought he could. But yeah, Chase Sanity, that'd be great. I'm really happy that we got him, and I think he adds. He's a good passer. He's a good shooter, and he adds a baseline level of professionalism and just polish to the backcourt. That while Dre is a great player, while Al Green is a great player, while Howie Fleming is a good player, I think that this guy kind of comes in and gives a level of credibility to the backcourt that was probably still needed a little bit, even though I, wasn't pursuing that personally. I think Miles Che is an incredible ad, and UNLV had to outbid big Power 5 programs to get him, and they did. There's a reason why Tennessee wanted him. There's a reason why West Virginia wanted him, and UNLV was the one that got him. So that's, if you feel a little skeptical, UC Irvine, is he that good? Just know UNLV beat out a lot of big programs to get this guy. And as a shooter and as an offensive player, he's going to be elite. Any other guys? I'm going to be closing the show down here in just a few minutes, but I want you guys to leave your comments and questions in the chat, and I will try and give you. This combo of players the last few days is a nightmare matchup for Mountain West Conference teams. Absolutely, it is. I think that UNLV probably, just because of the level the roster is at, will probably be picked 5th or 4th to finish in the Mountain West. I'd say probably 4th next year, maybe. That's probably about where I have them. But they have the roster and the potential to absolutely compete for the Mountain West title next season at this point in time. They just do. Now, Coach Pastner is going to have to coach the team, obviously, but in terms of putting together a roster that makes sense, Coach Pastner's absolutely done that. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Vegas Steve, they won't. That's college basketball. Yep, we're going to lose players after next season. If guys transfer out because they didn't get enough playing time, that's just the way it is. JD Douglas says this team is easily the best since the Rice years. I absolutely agree. The last Rice year, the team that had McCaw and Steven Zimmerman and all those guys, that team had McCaw on it, didn't it? I think it did. It's the best team since the 2015-2016 running Rebels, the team that had Ben Carter and Steven Zimmerman and those guys, Ike Noamu. It's the best team in almost it's just about a decade. It's easily the best roster. I want to make sure I don't miss anything here, guys. Shot 52% from the field. Can't wait for November. I'm not a basketball guy, but watching Pastner build his team is interesting. Yeah, it really is. Pastner's doing an incredible job. This team beats last year's team by 25. I agree. Yeah, Coach Pastner, sometimes you're so caught up in your emotion and your fandom. And I guess this is where I'll say this. Sometimes you're so caught up in your emotion and your fandom and what you think is right that you don't give a guy a chance. And look, I've already said that I was wrong about the Pastner hire and that I'm excited about them. Obviously, winning on the court is still the only metric that matters. But Coach Pastner's doing such a good job, guys. He's such a good guy that's galvanizing the fan base, that's bringing real excitement. I mean, the season ended a month ago, and we have 351 people here talking about 2 recruits for Running Rebel basketball. And that's Pastner. That's his energy and passion coming out. And I can't give him enough credit. He still has to win. We still have to make the NCAA tournament. And I think with this roster, we are absolutely an NCAA tournament caliber roster next season. Now, he's still going to have to coach, but we have the talent right now to get this program back to where it needs to be, to have a full Thomas and Mack, not 2 years from now, and maybe not completely full, but a decently full Thomas and Mack next season, by the end of next season. We have that capability. And it's up to us, the fans, to support Coach Pastner, especially in this first year, to give him, maybe there's going to be a frustrating loss early on in the season, but it's his first season and he deserves a fair shake. We gave Kevin a fair shake. We knew by his 3rd season he wasn't the guy, really by the end of his 2nd season that he wasn't the guy. But now is Coach Pastner's time, and now is our time to get behind him. Blurt put his I don't know. I feel like Dembele's got to start, but I guess we'll see. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. This team on paper sounds fantastic. Maybe the strongest roster since the Dave Rice days. I just hope he's willing to do it with a deep rotation. Nas isn't going to be able to play big minutes. I think a few of these guys are going to need breaks. Yeah, 10 guys is probably the biggest the rotation will be, but I agree with your assessment, Steve. Reno Hater says cooking. Yep, absolutely cooking. TJ Foth asks, do you think there's a possibility we could still get a bigger pickup in the portal? Yeah, I actually do. I think that from what I understand, and this isn't insider information, guys, this is just rumors and speculation by people around the program, but it's not me. I'm not reporting anything here. I think that they are trying to add an elite big man to this roster as well. Baba Miller, I know they're going after him. And I think that they're trying to raise more NIL money. They're showing what they can do already, and they're going to the boosters and say, give us another big man too. And then this team will truly be unstoppable. And they're trying. So there could be another pickup in the portal. If it is another pickup, it's not going to be a guard. It's not going to be a wing. It's going to be a big man. UNLV needs to add at least one more kind of serviceable center, a break glass in case of emergency type center, kind of like a Carl Jones, hopefully a little better than Carl Jones, but they still need to add one more player like that. And they're trying to add a bigger pickup in the portal still. The staff doesn't think they're done yet. The staff thinks that they're still going. But to be fair, I'm actually happy with the roster as it stands right now. They do need one more big man, but they still could get another big man. Any bigger pickup would have to be a center in my position. The other positions are too crowded. I agree. I think we should get a backup big. I agree with you. I'm the football guy, but seeing UNLV invest heavily with quality coaches hires in the big sports. Yep, Pastner was a quality coach hire. I was wrong. Everybody can criticize me for that. I absolutely deserve all the criticism for my incredibly harsh and unfair Pastner hire comments. TJ Foss says, even when we had huge names and great name on the paper, the teams struggled to perform in the court. Hopefully Pastner can change that. Yep. I mean, we're not in the season yet. We still need to see them win on the court, but this is still very exciting, guys. There's no reason to be pessimistic yet. Pastner's never coached a game for UNLV, so we have every reason to be excited right now. Burner, we need another Bruiser edition. I agree with you. That kind of gets to my point. Don't get me too excited, Jason. Sorry, I'm excited. They're asking boosters for 1,000 from June to April. Yep, they're still trying to raise money. If you added Miller to the roster, we'd probably be close to being one of the favorites. I still think that Utah State and San Diego State are going to be picked above UNLV pretty much regardless. But we could be. Real runs, remember Carl Jones' Linsanity run in 2023. I think the St. John's kid is perfect. I agree with you. The St. Con, I'm not sure how to say his last name. It's like Iwachu or something like that, but I agree with you. But I just want to say, like, great job, Coach Pastner. Thank you for giving UNLV fans a level of excitement. Thank you for taking NIL seriously. You're doing great. And people will sleep on UNLV next season. UNLV is going to have to prove it. It's just a fact. They are. The St. John's kid, yep, I agree with you. Mass Rebel. We still have to win on the court, guys. We still do. But I was jumping up and down and just unbelievably excited for this news today. And I was just so happy that coaching changes generally do help with excitement a little bit. Yep, thanks, Vegas Guitars. Appreciate you, man. I'm just happy, guys. I'm happy for Coach Pastner. I'm happy about Coach Mullen. I'm happy about UNLV sports. Whatever happens is going to happen. But guys, let's be excited. Let's get behind this program. I know that I can be the negative Nancy sometimes, and you may look at me and say, "Hey, 1 minute you're so excited, and 1 minute then you're all of a sudden you're down, and now you're asking us to, you're making fun of Coach Kruger, but now you're supporting Coach Pastner." I'm a fan. My emotions go up and down like crazy. And I'm feeling the high right now. I really am. I believe in Coach Pastner. I believe next season we can be an NCAA tournament team. I believe that next season you and all of us together, all of us in this chat, all of us watching this can bring our friends and family to the Thomas and Mack and show them the team that plays there under Coach Pastner and be proud of it. I believe that. And I will believe it all off season. I'm excited. I think that this guy, Coach Pastner, say what you want about him, say what you want about his career. This guy, I'm sorry I doubted you, man. I didn't think that you could build this type of roster. I thought you were kind of a cast-off type hire. I followed Josh since Arizona. If he doesn't win it, it won't be because of lack of effort. Yeah, guys, I reached out to Coach Pastner personally, and Coach Pastner took the time to respond to a person that had called the hire embarrassing and pathetic, knowing full well that I had said that. And Coach Pastner said, "I love people that love UNLV hoops, and I appreciate the support, and I get that you do it out of love." Yeah, I was unfamiliar with this game. I was angry and upset about the school, and you know what? It is what it is. We are all going to be the Thomas and Mack next year. We're all going to go. We're going to support our team. We're going to be loud. We're going to cheer loud. And Coach Josh Pastner is going to lead us back to the NCAA tournament with the best roster since Dave Rice. Exciting times, guys. I appreciate you all. We will have another Let's Run podcast the following Tuesday to kind of round out this coming Wednesday. Sorry, I'm gonna switch it to Wednesday nights now. We'll continue to do Let's Run podcasts every week. As we get further on into the off season, I will probably do them a little less frequently, mostly because I'm studying for the bar exam. And so I appreciate your guys' patience with me until July 29th. And then after July 29th, I'm all rebels. I'm all Twitter, I'm all rebel Twitter. But you guys have a wonderful night. I appreciate you all. I appreciate the people that we have that support the show. And I hope you guys just spend lots of time with the people you love this weekend and that you have great times and maybe watch some NBA basketball like I will be. And let's run, Rebels. Let's go, Coach. Woo!